Welcome to Film School Friday. I'm Corey.
I'm Bill.
And together,
we host the In Focus podcast.
Film School Friday is our special weekly episode where we try to pass along all of our knowledge, wisdom, and experience to you.
All of it.
Every single bit
knowledge
of it.
Dump. So, Corey, I'm about to embark on directing a short film that's currently in pre-production. I know you have a lot of lenses. This is me flexing on your behalf. Spherical or anamorphic?
That's a really good question. And I think the fact that we live in a day and age where indie shooters such as ourselves could even consider that a consideration, I think is fantastic.
A privilege and honor.
It is a privilege and an honor to have that be a possibility.
Yeah.
Lens choice will define a huge percentage of what a project looks like when it's delivered. I think every lens has different characteristics, some warmer, some cooler, some sharper, some softer, some, like, you talk about things like detail in the corners, and like anamorphic lenses get really crazy in the corners depending on the model and the year and how old it is. And a lot of times spherical lenses are not that. But anytime a DP or a client, in this case, maybe a little bit of both, asks that ever magical question, can we shoot anamorphic? You have to understand exactly what that means.
Right.
And what that means for the project. Like with anamorphic lenses, it's much easier to make a shot look like a very different, really stylized world. Even if the viewer can't really identify exactly what's different. A lot of times when you see that anamorphic look, we don't know how to describe it, but you're like, man, that looks, and I'm using air quotes here, cinematic.
Yeah. And it's not just the streaky light effect that you get.
No, like there are a lot of things.
Part of it.
There are a lot of things that go into that, like that anamorphic look. But all of those things combined really can convey like a range of emotions, from nostalgia to wonder, which seems weird to say like the lens can do that, but I mean, that is true. Like there are a lot of things that go into the look from camera onto the screen.
Yeah.
None of those plays a bigger role than the lens choice. Spherical, on the other hand, often conveys a really neutral or natural subdued look, oftentimes what we see with our own two eyes. Spherical lenses do a great job of representing that because, pro tip, our eyes are mostly spherical.
We don't have anamorphic eyes.
We don't have anamorphic eyes. if there are doctors listening, feel free to correct me, but I'll correct myself. Like the eyeballs are not perfectly round, but they're way more aspherical than they are anamorphic.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's definitely that. But all that to say, spherical or anamorphic is completely a creative decision. Technically speaking, whatever the intended output ratio is should also inform that decision. Anamorphic shots by design are really widescreen. There are, and this is getting a little technical, but that's okay. There are several different anamorphic squeezes. Like there's a 133, a 1.8, and what's probably most common is a 2x anamorphic squeeze. And that 2x means that the lens captures twice as much horizontal information as it does vertical information. And then it squeezes that into a compressed kind of square image that's then captured and then all gets kind of re-stretched back out. There's a lot of technical stuff we don't really have time to get into in like a 10 to 15 minute podcast episode. Maybe we'll do like a really long extended anamorphic.
All about glass.
Edition. There's also a really good YouTube series called the Anamorphic Cookbook that I'll link to. It has a ton of really good information from the history of anamorphics to DIY anamorphic lenses, all the way up to some of the common modern lenses like Atlas Orions or Hawk or Cook, Arri Master Anamorphics. There's a ton of different options. But the most common, again, that compression is that 2x. So that compression, when it gets stretched back out, is what we often identify visually as cinematic, and that 239 widescreen. When you watch, maybe it's in a movie theater, it's probably less prominent there because the screen sizes are adjustable with a lot of different reasons. But when you watch a movie at home on your TV, that's probably 16 by 9, and you see big, wide black bars at the top and the bottom, that's a 239, probably aspect ratio. Netflix does some really weird aspect ratios for some of their original content. But to be able to capture that squeeze with minimal image loss, like you would deliver an anamorphic as a 239. When you see an image streamed or projected like with those bars, you know that's absolutely what that is. Now, if the image was captured with spherical lenses, and you would have to sacrifice some of the image crop at the top and the bottom to get that same kind of de-squeezed look. While the de-squeezed anamorphics, you fully capture all of that in like a 6:5 ratio, and then you're good to go. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, if you want to deliver a full like screen filling 16 by 9 image, spherical lenses allow you to capture the full image and sacrifice almost none of that from your master shot. While again, anamorphics, if you wanted to go that route but still wanted 16 by 9, you're going to have to crop a good chunk of your image from the left and the right on the outer edges, which may not seem like a big deal, but some of the most defining characteristics of anamorphic lenses show up on the outer edges of the frame. Part of the distortion that you get, while it is beautiful, the more central you get to the image within the anamorphic lens, the more neutral things look to your eye.
Yeah.
The bokeh and the fall off is still very extreme, but when you lose the outer edges, all of that becomes really subdued. You could still get beautiful images shot on anamorphic, deliver it 16:9, and it looked gorgeous. But again, I'm not a fan of that because you're giving up too much of the image to achieve that. So just one more thing to consider.
How does this impact lighting, these choices?
One of the biggest characteristics that most people probably associate with anamorphic are light flares. Specifically the anamorphic style flare, which is so stylized. They sell lens filters for spherical lenses to emulate anamorphic flares. So not only do you get really long, streaky flares, which for most common anamorphic lenses, they present as blue. Lenses can be treated for a more neutral flare. Cook and Arri, I think, both have options like that. Atlas Orion recently released their silver edition, where the flare is way more controlled, is not blue, and is actually very gorgeous, like a really warm flare. So flaring is definitely way not controlled in most anamorphics versus spherical. Oftentimes spherical lenses over-index in the control of flares, where they really want to present almost none. Neutralize it as much as they can. And then obviously, other characteristics like bokeh, when you like the things that are out of focus in the background, if you're at a really wide open T-stop or F-stop on an anamorphic lens, they look like really big stretched out ovals, versus on a spherical lens, your bokeh is a nice, beautiful, like round circle. Some people don't like that. Like they think it distracts from what you would normally expect for like an out of focus image. Yeah. So again, just more stuff to think about.
Do you think J.J. Abrams likes anamorphics? I
think he likes paying a PA to flash a flashlight into the edge of the anamorphics. There is definitely something to be said about the look that can be achieved with an anamorphic lens. Again, in the right hands, it can really convey some emotion and some disconnect from reality, which a lot of times for narrative things, that's what you want.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I think J.J. Abrams is a big fan of anamorphics.
Yeah. Well, so am I. And so I have decided to shoot my next film on anamorphics.
Yes. Will you rent them from me?
You know it.
Nice. You can find me on ShareGrid.
That's right. Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Hopefully,
now I know.
Hopefully that wasn't too much of a data dump. And maybe one day we'll go a little deeper on all things glass.
Let's call it all things glass.
Yeah.
I like it.
Awesome. Well, that was fun. And for our listeners, Make sure you check us out on Instagram at InFocusPod or online at InFocusPodcast.com. And if you like what you heard today, go ahead and subscribe or
Smash the bell.
smash the like button or like put it in your favorites.
Shine a light on it.
Shine a light on it for some great ultra wide anamorphic I don't know.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Yes.
And until next time.
Feed your crew. Shoot on anamorphics.
And try pineapple on your pizza.
That's right, Corey.